Time now for Michigan's #1 outdoor radio show, Mike Avery's Outdoor Magazine. Mike Avery has covered the outdoors in Michigan for more than 4 decades, and that tradition continues today. Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Jay's Sporting Goods, the Yater Insurance Group, Angler Quest Pontoons, The Forward Corporation, Security Credit Union, Offshore Tackle, Hammond Drives and Equipment, Garber Chevrolet, the West Branch Visitors Bureau, Rapid River Knife Works, and by Michigan Brand Meats. Now, here's Mike Avery.
Well, thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction, and welcome to another edition of the Outdoor Magazine radio show. Right here on the Outdoor Magazine Radio Network on more than 30 radio stations across this great state of Michigan. And so glad to have you along with us as we work our way through this month of Rocktober. I love Rocktober. I can't see a downside to Rocktober at all. Well, except for Rocktober brings us 1 month closer to that season that starts with W. I can't say it. John, what is it? Winter. John said it. Okay, so don't blame me. John said winter. I'm not a big fan of winter, as you can tell, but I sure like Rocktober. And we are almost right in the middle of Rocktober right now, and the weather has cooled down. Isn't it wonderful? We got some rain. Wasn't it wonderful? Could we use some more? Yes. But, the fall colors, they seem like they're a little early this year, aren't they? And I think it's because it's been so dry. In fact, there's one tree in our yard that the leaves just shriveled up. They just shriveled up and dropped before they ever even turned to color. So I think it's going to be an early season, fall color season. Maybe not as vibrant, as beautiful as we would like it to be, but it's coming. The Upp is looking pretty good right now. I've had some great reports from the northern lower, and it's just, I don't know, it finally feels like fall. It doesn't feel like August anymore. It feels like fall, and I think it's great. I've actually taken advantage of these cooler temps here the last few days, not to get out and hunt, although by the time you hear this show, I will likely have spent a couple of evenings either in a ground blind or a tree stand. Last week, my grandson Trent and I went out and we put up it's new to me. It's from Old Man Outdoors. And remember that Old Man basically took a lot of the Primal Outdoor products, Bob Ransom, and rebranded them under their name. But it's called the Base Camp. And I've been watching this for the last couple of years. Because I really don't want to spend $2,000 on a real nice, beautiful, hard-sided, insulated hunting blind. I think they're great, but I'm having a hard time justifying that much money for one. So this Base Camp is set up on a 7-foot metal platform, and there's a ladder to get up to the platform. And then over a frame on top of it is just a canvas blind. And it's got shooting windows on 3 sides. And so I got one of those, and I like it. I haven't hunted out of it as we are sitting here in the studio, but I will soon. Trent and I went out, and we had it all put together. James and Trent came over. We put it together in the garage, put it on the back of a trailer, and James actually loaded it on a trailer. Trent and I took it out. We backed the trailer up exactly to where we wanted. We slid it out of the trailer and tilted it up, and it's perfect. Staked it in, staked it down. We set it up over the edge of a food plot overlooking a drop-off that goes into state land. I think it's going to be absolutely sweet. I was concerned about noise, insulation, sound, so I put a 1/2-inch plywood floor over the metal grate. I'm going to lay some rugs in there to further insulate and dampen the sound. I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be a really nice, comfortable spot to hunt from, and it's in a great spot, and it gives me some visibility because I'm 7 feet off the ground. Well, then 2 days later, James and I went out to the lease property, and we put up a couple of ladder stands. I personally will not hunt from an elevated platform these days anything other than a ladder stand. I'm not going to be climbing sticks. I'm certainly not going to be climbing up gut hooks. And do you know what I mean by gut hooks? These screw-in tree steps that are so dangerous. If you fall or if you slip off them and you go down a tree, you're basically looking to get gutted by one of those screw-in tree steps. So I'm not going to use that at all. But ladder stands to me, for an old guy, are just very comfortable and very safe. So we put up a couple more ladder stands. Again, over food plots. The food plots are starting to look okay. That rain we got last week, that beautiful rain we got last week, those food plots were just crying for it. They were just waiting for it. So we got some rain. They're starting to look a little bit better. We've got cameras on them, and there are a lot of does coming into these food plots, which is exactly what I'm looking for. My wife Denise told me, she said, the first chance you get, the first big doe you see, will you shoot it, please? I'm like, yep, no problem. Yes, I will, because we want some more venison. So anyway, I'm starting to get excited about deer season. Am I expecting to shoot a buck this fall? Nope. If a nice buck walks in front of me, will I shoot it? Yep. Will it be a 1.5-year-old buck? Nope. Will it be a 2.5-year-old buck? Possibly. But don't let what I am doing influence you in the least. I had this talk with my grandson Trent the other day, and he was talking about something he wanted to do as far as his hunting, and he said, Grandpa, if I do this and post it, I'm going to get crucified online. I said, Trent, do not worry about that. Don't worry about it. Either don't post it or post it and realize it's nobody else's business. Hunt your hunt. You shoot whatever animal you want, and I will do the same. And we will have a wonderful fall season. Okay, so what else is on my list here? Base camp ladder stands. Again, I love those ladder stands. I am so excited. They're set up in just the right spot. So now I'm set up for a north wind, a south wind, an east wind, a west wind. Depending on what direction of wind we get, I've got a place to sit, including my favorite, a ground blind on the north end of the big food plot that's been there for I don't know how long. It was there when we started hunting the property. People have been hunting out of that big ground blind for so many years, and I just continue that tradition. I like that. So we'll see. We'll see. Box blinds, ladder stands, ground blinds, the new carnivore. I'm liking the new carnivore. I want to tell you real briefly about some promo codes, because there are getting to be so many, and I appreciate it when my partners offer promo codes, but it's starting to get confusing, so let me run down them real quick. The Mike 20 promo code from Michigan brand has been out there for a long time. This gets you a legitimate 20% off any order that you make at michiganbrand.net. 20% off, michiganbrand.net, Mike 20. Rapid River, Mike Avery 15. 15% off your entire order at rapidriverknifeworks.com or in the store on US 2 just east of Rapid River. The only thing that promo code won't work for is the Avery signature knife, because proceeds from that knife go to Outdoor Driven to get vets and first responders in the outdoors. And I was thinking just the other day, because these are handmade custom knives and it takes a little bit to work them through the system, and because Rapid River is getting into a very busy time of year, if you are thinking about offering about the Avery signature knife as a Christmas gift, now is the time to place that order. So Mike Avery 15. Now, speaking of blinds, Jay's has partnered with Old Man and Me to offer $30 off the carnivore blind, and I think it's the Big Daddy. It's one of their ladder stands. They only have one ladder stand, so it's that model. You can get it at Jay's in Clare or Gaylord. Use the promo code Avery30 when you go to checkout. They'll give you $30 off. And now the folks at the Lumberjack Restaurant want a promo code too, Avery10 for 10% off. The Lumberjack Lodge, the hotel there, Avery15, 15% off. And here's the newest one. Reader Landscaping. This is for prepay only. They're offering a special for their sprinkler blowout for the fall dormant pruning, and lawn core aeration, Avery 5. So see, I'm saving you money. Every time you turn around, I'm saving you money. Now, you're going to have to spend some money to save some money, but I'm saving you money. We've got a very, very busy show coming up this week. Ed Blissick, after the break, is my first guest. Ed is from the Great Lakes Salmon Initiative. They have been pushing for funding for the DNR's Fishery Division for a long time. They have a bill, a piece of legislation in process, and interestingly, part of that legislation calls for a stamp that the money would go towards hatcheries, and that would allow you to run an unlimited number of rods for Great Lakes trolling anglers. I've been pushing for that for years. Troy Harrison, the guy who shot the video of that giant bull elk in a northern Michigan stream that went viral after I posted it, he talks about that video. I'm telling you, I cannot believe the number of interesting comments I got from that. People don't know the difference between an elk and a moose. They don't know the difference between the lower peninsula and the upper peninsula, but I get off track. Joe Presgrove from the DNR on Hunters Feeding the Hungry in hour number 2. John Upp on the 41 Great Lakes cartridge. Kaylee Rush from the DNR on fall waterfowl hunting. Justin Tomei joins me to talk about funding for the DNR. And then in our third hour, we're talking with Don Barnard about a recent moose hunt, fall musky fishing, and more. And we wrap it all up with wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Minar. I told you, it's a busy show this week. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Alpena on WZTK 105.7 FM. You can hear us in St. Joe on WSJM 94.9 FM. And north of the bridge in Iron Mountain, WMIQ 1450 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine brought to you by the Linwood Beach Marina and Campground. Linwood Beach can be your year-round Saginaw Bay fishing destination, waterfowl hunting destination, and your Mid-Michigan Angler Quest headquarters. You know I love that. Also, if you are calling it a season for your fall fishing, and it's time to put the boat away, Linwood Beach Marina can help you out there. The fishing right out in front of Linwood Beach, though, is going to get nothing but better from now on. The perch fishing and the walleye fishing, as the water temp drops, these two cooler temps are going to drop that water temp. The fish are going to come in, and there is some fantastic fishing right up until it ices up and even beyond. So Linwood Beach Marina, great facilities, great location, great place. Great people. LinwoodBeachMarina.com, LinwoodBeachMarina.com. Okay, speaking of fishing, I have been talking about the concept of allowing Great Lakes trolling anglers to run more rods for a few years now. I think limiting it to 3 rods is an arbitrary number. I think it serves no purpose. I think the fishery, the resource, is protected by your daily creel limit and the size of the fish. So, this is something I've been pushing for a long time. The folks at the Great Lakes Salmon Initiative have kind of taken that concept and gone beyond it. They're worried about the future of funding for the Fisheries Division of the DNR. Ed Blissick is with the group Great Lakes Salmon Initiative, their website, glsalmon.org, glsalmon.org, and he's with us now to talk more about what's going on from his perspective to try to fix things. Ed, welcome back to the show. How are you?
Hey, real good, Mike. It's great to talk to you again.
Always a pleasure to talk to you. Before we get into the meat of the topic, what is the Great Lakes Salmon Initiative? What are you all about?
Well, we are an advocacy group for our Great Lakes salmon fishery. We want to see it thrive and have a robust fishery and continue on for our kids and grandkids.
Well,
we've been advocating that for a number of years now.
And certainly, if you look at the fishery now, as it was last summer, the walleye fishing on the east side, trout and salmon on the west side, it appears everything looks great, Ed.
It sure is. 2025 was just a great season all around this state. The Fisheries Division's done a great job with our Great Lakes fisheries.
But there is concern about the DNR in general not having enough money. They haven't had a license fee increase in a long time. There was nothing in the budget for this year for a license fee increase. So you folks there have been working behind the scenes. What do you have going, Ed?
Well, it's been a long grind, as you know, Mike, and we started out with an optional license to run 3 rods, and we were getting close to getting. We actually had a person ready to sponsor it this January, and Captain Mark Williams from Silver Dixon Charters reached out to us. He brought together a group of anglers to work on a broader proposal, license restructure. And the fact is, our optional trolling license probably wouldn't fix the DNR's budget situation. It would be another revenue stream, but it wouldn't raise enough revenue to really offset the inflation we've had over the last decade. I mean, prices have gone up dramatically. Fish food in the hatcheries has quadrupled. And so as those prices go up with no budget increase, the DNR has been cutting back, and they've been cutting back for especially the last 5 years, eliminating positions, eliminating lake surveys, creel counts. They've been cutting back just to maintain a balanced budget. So our group got together in January, and all concerned anglers, all concerned about the future, and we're at a point now that we are going to be facing some stocking cuts in 2026 if there's not a revenue increase for the DNR. And we don't want to see that happen. Stocking is critical to the Great Lakes fisheries, but it does a lot for inland fisheries too. Walleye stocking, trout stream stocking. We don't want to see that cut back. We want to see the DNR improve our fisheries. So our group got together, and we have a bill, House Bill 5093. It's just been introduced. That includes our concept for running more rods, but it's kind of a broad proposal. I can go through it with you if you'd like.
Well, before we do that, are you running into any blowback from people who just absolutely hate the DNR and say, look, they don't need any more money, they just need to do a better job with the money they have?
Yep, that's the primary blowback we have. But
Yep.
You know what? It's not that much, and I'll give you some numbers in a minute. But that's the case. But the reality is that most people like that don't understand how dire the situation with the DNR budget is.
So tell me,
more
Ed,
funding, we're going to see fisheries.
Okay,
decline.
yeah, that's so. The fishery across the state this year was pretty solid, but you're concerned about the future. So now let's get into the meat of what you're talking about.
Okay. Well, as we know, there was an attempt to raise license fees in December of last year in the lame duck session, and it did not pass. And one of the things our group thought about is we need to generate support for a fee increase. And a great way to generate angler support is to improve the fishery with this bill. And that's exactly what we're trying to do. And the fee increases are pretty darn modest, too. So the base license increase to buy a base fishing license would only go up $2. So it's not a big price increase for a base license. Where our concept comes in is a hatchery stamp. A $5 hatchery stamp would be required to fish for species raised in our hatcheries. So it's trout, salmon, walleyes, musky, sturgeon. If they're raised and stocked in hatcheries and you're going to fish for those species, you'd need the $5 hatchery stamp. So kind of much like the old trout stamp, if you fish all species now, your license is going to go up $7. So from $26 to $33, you can fish for all species in the state. But what that $5 hatchery stamp does is it's going to really drive some improved fishing. For the inland anglers, the DNR is committed to stocking 1 million more walleyes in inland lakes. Now, this isn't the Great Lakes. This is inland lakes. They've committed to increasing the number of stream stocking sites, trout stream stocking and trout lake stocking. So more streams and more lakes inland get trout, and probably an increase in musky stocking in inland waters. For the Great Lakes anglers, they'll be able to optimize their trolling spread, whatever they want behind their boat. So there won't be any rod limits with the $5 hatchery stamp. Now, the reality of that is most guys are going to put out 2 or 3 more rods. You can't run 18, 20, 25 rods behind your boat. You're going to have a tangled mess, So it's really going to help out the smaller boat anglers, 2 or 3 guys going out. You'll have a little more effective spread. You'll catch a few more fish on a trip. It'll make your fishing better. And same for the inland guys. There'll be more walleyes, more trout, more muskies stocked to improve our inland fishery. So for that $5 hatchery stamp, anglers get a nice return in improving our opportunities.
Well, it seems like a win-win. I mean, somebody who's going to gripe about a $7 increase for a license that hasn't gone up in years. I mean, what is $7? I mean, is it's not even one trip to McDonald's these days.
Yeah, any guy going to a Great Lakes port, they're visiting a port like Ludington. They come up for a weekend of salmon fishing, and they go into Captain Chuck's and drop $100 without a blink of an eye.
Right.
Spending $7 to keep this fishery healthy and strong is a real small cost to do it.
So there is a piece of legislation that's out there. What next? How does this all work? What are you looking for?
Yeah, well, the bill goes a little beyond that, but specifically what we need right now is anglers to contact their representatives and say, we want House Bill 5093. We need to let our representatives know in the House, this bill is in the House, we've got to get it through House. It's going to have a hearing coming up soon, probably later October, in the House Natural Resources Committee. So it would be great for anglers to contact all the members of the House Natural Resources Committee and say, we want HB 5093, and to contact their individual local rep in their district. We're going to have some information on our website and our Facebook page on contact information, probably no later than Friday, probably tomorrow. We're putting that all together, and when we put up information, we want to make sure it's accurate. But we'll have some links out there, how to find your representative and the members of the House Natural Resources Committee, and how to contact them. That will be very important right now.
There's also a bill out there backed by a couple of Michigan senators that talks about the license fee and funding for the DNR. Are you guys working with them, or is this two separate activities?
Yeah, that's a bill out of the Senate, and we are working with them. That's Senator Cherry and Senator Bumstead put this package together. Their package raises fishing licenses up to $35, but it doesn't do much. It doesn't really do anything to improve the opportunities, and we've had a number of conversations with both of them, specifically Senator Cherry, who's sponsoring the license part of that bill, has said he's very willing to work with us. He's looking forward to stakeholder ideas like this that's going to increase support. So, that bill's moving through the Senate. It's going to be having a Senate vote. We've got to get the House bill done, and then there'll be a reconciliation of the two bills. And Senator Cherry said he's very willing to work with us to improve that bill to make it better for anglers. So we're kind of excited about that. It looks like there's some nice cooperation. It's a bipartisan thing. He's on the Democrat side, and our bill's being sponsored by Senator Kurt Vanderwall on the Republican side, and we're talking to some Democrat representatives who may sign on as co-sponsors. So we're very excited because fishing's not a partisan thing. It's a hobby activity that everyone across our state enjoys.
Well, I certainly agree with you there. Ed, were you a little bit surprised at how much finagling and behind-the-scenes work that was involved in getting it to this point, or were you expecting this?
No, I've been amazed how slow the wheels of progress turn in Lansing. And, of course, fisheries are probably not the highest priority. Everybody heard about the budget battles and everything, so that set this back a little bit. The budget was a priority for our legislation, but now that the budget's resolved, we think there's a very good chance this is going to move forward and get a positive vote.
When would this go into effect, ideally? Are we talking licenses for the summer of 26?
Yeah, that's what we're really shooting for. We'd like to get this done by the end of the year. Hopefully we can get it done in November, early December. But the license year doesn't start till April 1st, 2026. So that's what we're targeting, and there's plenty of time to do it by then.
Excellent. Ed Blissick, I appreciate all the work you and everybody has put into this, and I wish you nothing but luck. It's House Bill 5093, House Bill 5093, and the Great Lakes Salmon Initiative website is glsalmon.org. Keep up the good work, Ed. You and I will stay in touch.
Thank you very much, Mike. Have a great day.
You as well. Ed Blissick of the Great Lakes Salmon Initiative. I would love to see this. I guess I'd love to see a blending of the two, right? Cover all of the DNR's financial woes, and if we can keep the if we can let the Great Lakes trolling anglers run more rods as part of either one, I'm all for that. We'll take a break. When we come back, I'm going to talk to the guy who shot the video of the giant bull elk in the river that went viral and got lots of crazy comments. His name is Troy Harrison, coming up right here on Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Battle Creek on WBCK 95.3 FM. You can hear us in Port Huron, WPHM 1380 AM, and in Newberry, WNBY 1450 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine brought to you by VersaSkins. Just change your skin for the season you're in. Why buy a bunch of different sets of expensive hunting clothes when you can buy one good quality set? Snap on and zip on an outer shell of a different camo pattern in less than a minute. If you need big sizes, 4, 5, 6X, VersaSkins can help you out. If you are a saddle hunter, VersaSkins can take care of you as well. Check them out online at versaskins.com or go to amazon.com and do a search for VersaSkins brand. VersaSkins, just change your skin for the season we're in. I don't know if you follow me online at all, my social media posts, but this last week was very, very interesting. Gary Morgan of Wild Game Dynasty sent me a piece of video shot by his nephew, Troy Harrison. Now, Troy owns the Baldwin Canoe Rental, and his website for Baldwin Canoe Rental is baldwincanoe.com. The video was spectacular. It is some of the most magnificent, impressive video I have ever seen, and I said that on the post. It's two guys on a river fishing, and out of the brush on the side of the river comes a magnificent, mature Michigan bull elk. He bugles, and it sounds like a freight train. He walks across the river in front of them. He stops, he looks at them, he walks out of the river and bugles again. You need to see it. Go to my Facebook page, go to my YouTube channel. It's on, I posted it everywhere. It is the closest thing to going viral that I have ever posted. On Facebook alone, it's been seen more than 800,000 times. Troy's with us now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line to talk about this. Troy, first of all, congrats on this. It was, what was it? Right place, right time type of thing?
Yeah, I think so. I didn't think that it would be that popular of a video. I knew it was really cool at the time, but
I knew it. I knew when I saw that. I thought, we're on to something here. So congrats.
Just going into how it happened.
Yeah, please.
Probably what most people want to know. I was fishing with a good friend of mine, Jared Yenna. That's who you see in the video in the front of the boat. But we got in the river pretty early. We could hear the elk bugling. It was just breaking daylight. As we were going down the river, we're just staying quiet because we know we can kind of sneak up on them. And the brush is thick on the sides. So you hear noises. You can hear them bugling in the distance. And as we kept going down, it's getting more daylight. And there had to be maybe 7 or 8 bulls bugling around us. At this point, we hadn't seen anything yet. We could hear brush breaking and stuff. So we would stop. I have a ton of videos of just audio because I'm thinking something's going to pop out and nothing comes out. So we keep going and going and going. And next thing you know, I get around, there's a sharp corner, and we hear thrashing in the river, which is right around the bend, which I can't get to. We have an aluminum canoe, so it's a little louder if we try to move quick. So we stopped. I did record it. It's not the greatest recording, but they're fighting. There's 2 fighting in the river around the bend. Now that video, that would have been a little better. So we just stay quiet, impatient, and you can hear them thrashing in the brush, and each time we think they're going to come plowing right over by us. It doesn't happen. I come around the corner. You can see where the mud and the water was thrown up on the side. Highways going across where they were just in there, moments ago. And then all of a sudden, there was one on the left and one on the right, which you can kind of hear in the video. But we kind of just stopped. I got out of the canoe, and I just got down in the water on my knees to hold the back of the boat still. And they're talking back and forth, one on the left, one on the right. And I told Jared, I'm like, one of these are going to come across eventually. I think we post up here. And it was cold that morning. I blew my breath. It was coming right back in my face. I'm like, they're not going to smell us. And then, what you saw in the video was, we could hear brush breaking. And he finally points and says, I see movement. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to get my phone out. So, and then the rest is history.
Well, I'm so glad you did. I mean, To be what was he, about 30 yards from you guys? 20 yards?
We were estimating that less than 20. I mean, in the video, it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
Pictures and videos are just hard to tell. But I would say 17 yards, maybe. Wow. It was really close. And I held everything still. So when he popped out, he didn't know what we were. He stared at us, and I'm like, oh my gosh. But the only thing I did say is after we recorded the video, we started talking to her like, holy cow. And I said, I think I hit record. I said, if I did, that might be the best video I've ever shot.
Oh, it is just, it's magnificent. And you know what I appreciate? This is a little thing, but being a video guy, I appreciate the fact that you shot it in a horizontal format instead of vertical, like everybody does these days. Yep. And the sound of that elk when he was on the bank on the right-hand side, when he let that thing go, it was almost overpowering, but you captured it so well.
The phone picks it up pretty good, and everybody that some buddies of mine and stuff that watch the video are just amazed how loud it is when they have it on their phones. And I said the phone picks it up pretty good, but when we're sitting right there, I'm like, it is extremely loud. And
you did such a great job. It was a northern Michigan river. It wasn't the UP, and it wasn't a moose. It is a beautiful piece of video. Troy, I'm so glad you sent it. I appreciate that so very much. If people haven't seen it, go to my social media outlets and check it out. Troy Harrison of Baldwin Canoe, baldwincanoe.com. Great video, maybe the best I've ever seen. We'll take a break. When we come back, Joe Presgrove of the Michigan DNR. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Caro on two stations, WKYO 1360 AM and WIDL 92.1 FM. You can hear us in Muskegon on WKBZ 1090 AM and north of the bridge in the Sioux, WKNW 1400 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Killer Food Plots. Now, look, I know you're not putting in food plots right now, but you're likely hunting over food plots. I'm hoping you got enough rain this past week to green up your food plots a little bit. Don't forget, though, that Killer Food Plots also have big, beautiful, hard-sided hunting blinds for sale. Plus, they have a lineup of scents, cover scents, and attractants. In fact, we're trying to start a mock scrape right now with their estrus doe scents, so I'll let you know how that goes. But Michigan-based, family-owned, the website killerfoodplots.com, killerfoodplots.com. Keep an ear out for the latest Killer Food Plots podcast with Rich Krazan. We are recording that after we record the show today. All right, we as hunters, why do we hunt? That's an interesting question, almost a loaded, no pun intended question. One of the things, though, that I find most interesting, and I'm just proud of us as Michigan hunters, is programs to donate venison to those in need. Joe Presgrove is with the Michigan DNR, wants to talk more about that. Joe, welcome to the show. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Real pleasure. So tell me about the program that we can get involved in if we have extra venison, if for some reason we don't like venison, which I can't imagine. What do we do? How do we help out others?
Sure. So, again, thanks for having me. I'm Joe Presgrove, a program specialist for the Hunters Feeding Michigan's program here. Just to kind of sum up the program, it's a deer donation program, so hunters have the option to donate to the program. It's all turned into ground venison, and then we distribute it across the landscape, so it goes all 83 counties. This year, we're on track to we did hit about 140,000 pounds of ground venison since the last archery season. Wow. So it's been pretty successful, and it's a great way for hunters to give back to their neighbors in need.
What are we calling it these days? Hunters Feeding the Hungry?
Hunters Feeding Michigan.
Hunters Feeding Michigan. Correct. Thank you. Okay, Hunters Feeding Michigan. So how do I, as a hunter, what do I do if I got a big doe that I don't need or whatever? How does it work, Joe?
Yeah, it's a pretty straightforward process. So they go to michigan.gov/hunters feeding Michigan. They can locate participating processors. Once you find a participating processor, we recommend giving them a call to make sure that they have the room and capacity to take your donation. As long as the deer is illegally harvested, tagged, field dressed, and harvest reported, the processor takes it from there. So it doesn't cost the hunter anything. You just simply drop it off. And like I said, they take it from there, and then the Feeding America Network food banks will distribute it across the landscape from there.
Is it any processor or just a specific list of folks you've partnered with?
Sure. So there's multiple deer donation programs that are going on across the state. We just happen to be the largest in the DNR's program. So to locate one of our processors, just go to michigan.gov/huntersfeedingmichigan. And then, like I said, we do recommend giving them a call to make sure they have the capacity to take that deer from you. But most of the time, they're more than willing to do it because they're connected to their communities and want to do the right thing too and help their neighbors in need. So, to find a processor, just go to our website and you can locate them right there.
So it doesn't cost us as hunters anything. Are the processors doing this free, or are they getting paid from somebody?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when individuals go to buy a license or a permit through our sales system, there's a question if they want to donate towards the Hunters Feeding Michigan program. Those donations are used towards processing expenses. That's how we're able to reimburse our processors. So we reimburse our processors by the finished ground venison poundage. So that way the hunter's not responsible for paying anything on their end. We just simply reimburse the processors through those donations when someone buys a hunting or fishing license or RV or snowmobile. So we encourage folks to make a donation because it goes a long ways. We say $3 donation, you can help feed a family of 4.
Oh, that's nice. So that's where that money goes to. Excellent, excellent. So is it is all of the meat then made into ground venison, into burger? Is that how it's distributed?
Yeah, so we don't do whole cuts or anything like that. And the reason we do that is individuals might be familiar with preparing ground beef. If they know how to prepare ground beef, they most likely can prepare ground venison. So we try to keep things real simple. We package it in 1-pound packages with most recipes requiring 1 pound of ground venison or ground beef. For them to be able to receive this venison in the ground form, they can make tacos, spaghetti, goulash, all that fun stuff. Since they're familiar with preparing with beef, so it's just a little more lean. So
I suspect the program is open now. How long does this run? Does it run through the end of the year, right through the end of the January doe seasons? What's the end timeline?
Yeah, so it goes through the regular deer seasons. So as long as there's a legal deer season in place, we'll most likely be taking those deer for donation. So, when it gets around November 15th, I'm sure a lot of you are aware that it gets a little crazy at the processor. So that's an important time to give them a call and see if they're willing to take those donations here. We don't want to overwhelm our processors. But most of them say keep bringing them. They love doing it. They love helping their communities out and stuff like that. But yeah, we'll take deer throughout the regular deer season and as long as there's an open season.
Michigan.gov/Hunters Feeding Michigan, Hunters Feeding Michigan. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate the reminder on this. We'll take a break for the top of the hour. When we come back in our third hour, we're talking about the 41 Great Lakes cartridge, a straight wall cartridge born right here in the great state of Michigan. Michigan.gov/Hunters Feeding Michigan.
Time now for Michigan's #1 outdoor radio show, Mike Avery's Outdoor Magazine. Mike Avery has covered the outdoors in Michigan for more than 4 decades, and that tradition continues today. Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Jay's Sporting Goods, the Yater Insurance Group, Angler Quest Pontoons, The Forward Corporation, Security Credit Union, Offshore Tackle, Hammond Drives and Equipment, Garber Chevrolet, the West Branch Visitors Bureau, Rapid River Knife Works, and by Michigan Brand Meats. Now, here's Mike Avery.
Indeed, this is the big guy, Mike Avery. Thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction, and welcome. Welcome to hour number 2 of this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show here on the Outdoor Magazine Radio Network on more than 30 radio stations across our great state of Michigan. And I say this every week, but I really do I really do believe this, and I do mean it. I think the best way to listen to this show, if you can, is on your local radio station, your local AM or FM station. That's the backbone of what the Outdoor Magazine radio franchise is based on, the partnership of those stations. And so if you could listen to them, I do appreciate it. If you can't, if your local station doesn't carry all 3 hours of the show, yes, this is a 3-hour show. Right now you are listening to the beginning of the second hour. Or if you live in one part of our state, I used to say some part of our state, now I'm saying one part of our state. If you live in one part of our state not covered by the broadcast signal, and it probably never will be covered by a broadcast signal unless they want to change their way of doing business or I want to change mine, and I don't think that's going to happen on either end. Isn't it nice to know that there's a podcast version of the show that is available? Now, the podcast is exactly the same content. Same guests, same questions, same responses, same topics. The only difference is the podcast, the content is somewhere other than your local radio station. You can hear it on my website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. It's on my Facebook page. You can hear it on all the different suspects, right? All the different podcast outlets. You can hear the podcast version of the radio show. I don't upload that until Sunday afternoon at 6. It doesn't go live until Sunday at 6. As some people say, it doesn't drop. I don't know why they use that term. There's nothing dropping about it, okay? But it's available Sunday at 6. I do like podcasting, though. In fact, each month I do podcasts for some of my advertising partners, including Offshore Tackle, Angler Quest Boats, and Killer Food Plots. And we are recording this month's, the October version of the Killer Food Plots podcast with Rich Krazan when we're done here in the studio today with the radio show. So I have some questions for Rich, right? I mean, we didn't get any rain. We got basically no rain from before Labor Day until last week. How do you grow a food plot when you don't have any rain? When Mother Nature just doesn't cooperate? So, if you want to get the answer to that, listen to this month's Killer Food Plots podcast. Okay, right now I'm finally excited about deer hunting. I just couldn't get excited when it was 84 degrees. I said, you know what, I'm going to grab my golf clubs and go play golf. I'm not going to grab my bow. But now things are changing. Temperatures have dropped. We've got a couple of new stands up. We're really, really kind of excited about it. Come November 15th, I will grab my gun. And it just happens to be a Brenton Arms, Michigan made, a 350 Legend. It is a straight-walled cartridge that you can use in southern Michigan. You can use just about any time of year, during the season. These straight-walled cartridges are the hottest thing out there these days. You've heard about them. The 450 Bushmaster was the first one. And then the 350 Legend came along. That's the one that I happen to be shooting. But the one, I got to be honest with you, the one I'm most excited about, I don't even shoot it. It's called a 41 Great Lakes. And it was born, if I can use that term, here in Michigan. There is no greater Michigan cartridge than the 41 Great Lakes. John Upp is the guy who has been pushing this, who has been pioneering this. He developed it, and he's really made great progress. And I thought, you know what, it's time for an update, and he's with us now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. First of all, John, welcome back to the show. How are you?
Good morning, sir. Excellent. Thank you very much.
And secondly, congratulations on the progress you have made on bringing this Wildcat cartridge to the masses.
Well, I'd love to take credit, but, my business partner, Larry, is significant in it. And the membership on the Facebook group really are the ones pushing it forward and moving it. Yeah, I'm kind of the guide to all the situation, but it's really the Facebook group members that are pushing it forward.
And this Facebook page you're talking about is 41 Great Lakes Shooters on Facebook, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
I'll tell you who I also think should get a lot of credit, just looking at it from the outside. Gabe Van Wormer. I mean, he's been doing so much work with you guys, posting so many videos, doing a lot of testing. I think he's been a great ambassador for you as well.
He's been the number one in that, without question. and we everything because he is nothing but an absolute devotee of anything Michigan, and that so he's really a special guy, and we owe him everything.
I agree with you. I think Gabe's a great guy. He's a great fellow Michigan guy. I appreciate that. And just a heads up, John, we're getting a little dropout from you every once in a while. So I don't know if you can move towards a window or go outdoors or something to get a little bit better signal. I would appreciate that. But let's talk about the background, the history of the 41 Great Lakes. Why were you not happy with the 450, the 350? What caused you to go out and develop a new straight-walled cartridge?
Well, Larry and I were looking at the ballistics data from the 350 and 450, and the primary reason was the recoil of the 450 is really, really stout, and most of our grandchildren couldn't tolerate it, and I myself have bad shoulders, so that was part of the impetus. And so that's how it all started, is basically looking for something that would be better for our grandchildren.
So what is your background? Are you a machinist? Are you a shooter? I mean, what caused you to think, okay, I have the skills to find something else?
Well, I've been a hobby ballistician probably since I was in my teens. The numbers and the ballistics have always fascinated me. So, I've been toying around with this kind of stuff really for 45 or 50 years. And then I was an ER nurse and a paramedic prior to that. And I've seen a lot of people get shot, and I've taken care of a lot of gunshot wounds. So the combination of seeing the results of gunshot wounds and my hobby ballistics background is what caused me to decide this cartridge.
I didn't know that about your background. Knowing that now, there's a whole separate line I could go off into about cartridges for concealed carry, because I have a lot of personal questions about that myself. But that's a topic for a different discussion. So, the 41 Great Lakes. Then how did you? I mean, did you start with a 38 Great Lakes? Did you start with a 45 Great Lakes? I mean, what was the process of getting to where you are?
Actually, we developed about 8 or 10 mathematical models that I had, and I was working through the models and looking at the efficiency and all of that. And once I hit upon the 41, to describe it, the 41 occupies the same space as the 6.5 Creedmoor in the standard cartridges. It's almost ballistically perfect. And so that's where we developing the round was once we hit the 41 caliber bullet, and we knew we had it narrowed down to 3 different parent cases, and we chose the 30-06 because of its availability and its powder capacity to be the parent case for the 41.
Was this initial research all done on paper? You looked at the potential ballistics, or were you actually shooting cartridges at that point?
No, it was because Larry and I are regular guys, and we really couldn't have. I mean, you'd have to develop a reamer and gauges and a rifle, and I mean, it literally takes thousands and thousands of dollars. So we mathematical modeled for 6 or 8 different cartridges, and the 41 was ballistically nearly perfect. And when I say nearly perfect, I mean 99.899, that close to perfect. It's an interesting field aside from, the actual cart.
I've heard you make a comparison. You have described this earlier as the 41 hits like something, but has the recoil of something else. What was that comparison?
Well, actually that was 30-06, and now it's actually more like a 300 H&H Magnum or a 9.3 by 62 Mauser is where the terminal energy numbers are, and it kicks about like a 243. That's
crazy, John. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah. I understand how nuts it sounds.
Well, and let's continue this conversation because I do want to talk with you more about this. I want to talk with I want to find out, what is the availability? How, if somebody hears this, can they become a 41 Great Lakes shooter? But I got to take a break here in the Outdoor Magazine Show. We're talking with John Upp. You can learn more about this whole operation that he has at the best place is the Facebook page, 41 Great Lakes Shooter on Facebook. It's a very, very interesting gun. If I didn't have a 350 already, I would be shooting a 41 Great Lakes, and maybe I'll find myself shooting a 41 Great Lakes anyway. We'll take a break. When we come back, more with John Upp, talking about the 41 Great Lakes. Maybe this is the straight-walled cartridge for you. I mean, after all, it's born right here in Michigan. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine Show in Sheboygan on Big Country Gold WCBY, 1240 AM, 100.7 FM. You can hear us in Ludington, News 97.98, 98.7 WLDN. And you can hear us north of the bridge. Let's go to Marquette, WDMJ, 1320 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine brought to you by... What was that sound? Here, listen again. You know what the sound is. That's the sound of my Rapid River knife clicking, locking back open. I just pulled it out of my pocket. Now, this is not the Avery signature Rapid River knife. You know why? Because my son James and I were putting up tree stands yesterday, and he said, "Hey, you got your knife with you?" And I said, "I always have my knife with me." He said, "Throw it up here so I can cut this strap off." So I threw my knife up to him, and it's still in his pocket. But I learned a lesson a few weeks ago. Always have a Rapid River knife in the console of your truck, and that's the one I have now. That's the one in my pocket until I get my other one from James. You know I'm a huge fan of Rapid River knives, handmade by craftsmen in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. The Avery signature knife is something I'm very, very proud of. That is a special edition knife where the proceeds go to help Outdoor Driven. Outdoor Driven is a group formed to get first responders and vets in the outdoors on outdoor adventures. I have a promo code at Rapid River. It's MikeAvery15. You can get 15% off your entire order in the store, the showroom on US 2 just east of Rapid River, or if you make an online order on the website rapidriverknifeworks.com. 15% off. However, the promo code does not work for the Avery signature knife because we want to keep as much profit in there as we can, because the proceeds from that knife go to Outdoor Driven. Chris Durson of Rapid River isn't making a dime on this knife. I'm not making a dime on this knife. Because it is a custom-made, handmade knife, the process takes a while. I'm thinking if you want to give one of these as a gift for Christmas, it's not too early to order it now. Go to rapidriverknifeworks.com and make your order for an Avery signature knife. I would really appreciate that. And if it's not an Avery signature knife, use the promo code MikeAvery15 and save a whopping 15%. You know I love Michigan-based family-owned companies, including, and I don't have an advertising partnership with these guys, but I love the fact that the 41 Great Lakes cartridge was born here in Michigan. It was created by John Upp and his partners from River Raisin Ballistics, and John is with us now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. So, John, is this still a Wildcat cartridge, or do we consider this a production process, a production cartridge now?
It's a commercially available Wildcat. Two current companies loading for it commercially, Tiefel Ammunition in Alton, Illinois, and First to Fight Tactical in DeWitt, Michigan. And there are another 5 or 6 companies lined up to start loading for it by the spring.
So is this so? If somebody wants to use a 41 Great Lakes gun and cartridge for this deer season, is that going to be possible, or are we still talking next year yet?
You're kind of out of the window. There's a few guys getting in on it because we have 10 custom gunsmiths that work as do our conversions. And any short action that is to say 308 parent-based or 450 Bushmaster-based cartridge can have a barrel conversion done, and you clean work, and then you have a 41 Great Lakes.
John, I know this is not your fault, but the phone line is breaking up really bad, so it's getting kind of hard to follow you. So if I interrupt and ask you a question again, forgive me. I was talking about the 41 Great Lakes with my son James last night. He said, "Man, if I could get one of those barrels, I'd build one of these things." So what would that process be if he wanted to build a 41 Great Lakes? He needs to get a barrel. How does he get one?
You contact Douglas Barrels in West Virginia and tell them you'd want to be part of the 41 Great Lakes project, and they will chamber a barrel for you, thread it, get everything set, so that all you have to do is put the barrel on the rifle and make some minor adjustments in it, and it runs fine.
So is the goal to have a company, one of the major companies, just make a 41 Great Lakes gun already put together that I could go to J Sporting Goods and buy one? Is that the ultimate goal?
Ultimately, yeah. But it's a trademark round, and the industry frowns on that. And so, it's a point of where we're negotiating with people and talking to people actively all the time. And we just have to find the right fit for a commercial manufacturer, and then we'll head that direction. But, we want to meet certain goals in doing that.
Do you, and I don't know, but forgive me for even asking, do you end up selling your soul in some ways if you make the partnership with a big company? Do you have to give up kind of what you've been working towards as a smaller company to work with these big manufacturers?
You do. Because profit is really their sole goal. And not that there's anything wrong with that. This is capitalism. But Larry and I have set performance standards that most commercial firearms industry companies can't match. So there's a certain level of give and take that you have to achieve with this, and our standards are very high, and our members appreciate it and support us because our standards are so high.
So what is the effective range, say, on a whitetail of the 41 Great Lakes compared to a 350 or 450?
If you practice, and that's the big state. The rifle is far better than any of us. If you practice, 400 plus is not a problem.
Wow. And compare that to the 450 and 350. What's the effective range with those?
The effective range of a 350 is about 200 yards. The effective range of the 450 and 400 are 300 yards. There are guys that do make shots with a 450 farther than that, but they're guys who practice and practice a lot.
And yes, I agree with you. That's what it comes down to. So often here in Michigan, I think the casual Michigan gun hunter, and I would actually unfortunately put myself in this group, I'm going to sight in before the season to make sure my rifle's dead on. But outside of that, I'm probably not going to shoot it that much.
And prior to this project, I would say I would be in that category as well. Sit down 3 or 4 days before the season, shoot 5 rounds, and call it good.
You're good to go.
but with a gun like this that has capabilities that it has, particularly where I live, we have huge alfalfa fields. And it's not uncommon to have a and so this gun's perfectly capable of it. Matter of fact, one of our members, his son is 10 and was ringing steel at 500 yards with a 41 last week.
Wow. Yeah.
So
have you had any experience with people taking this gun out west or on something other than a whitetail?
No, we've killed this season, I think, a dozen bears. We've killed probably 50 to 60 hogs. We're at about a little over 2,000 whitetails. And there's a gentleman going on a moose hunt in Canada A gentleman called Mike Sherman from Centerville, Michigan, drew an elk tag, and he's going to take a 41 and kill an elk. And Gabe is going to videotape that hunt for Michigan Out of Doors. So everybody will be seeing that in the future.
Is it primarily a whitetail caliber though, cartridge though?
It is, but the terminal energy numbers, honestly, we've got some guys going to Africa, and they're going to shoot Cape buffalo, lion, hippo. They're going to run with the big dogs. And, it has energy numbers that are equivalent to that kind of stuff. The Taylor knockout scale starts at 30 being a potent rifle. Over half of our loads have a Taylor knockout number of 32 plus. So it's in that conversation with a 9.3 by 62, the 300 H&H Magnum, the 375 H&H, highest producing loads.
Wow.
So right now, the load that's in development is a 205 grain maker that is traveling at 2893, generating 3,800 foot-pounds of energy at the muzzle, and has a pretty well an effective range. The BC of the bullet is .34, which is excellent for a 41 caliber bullet.
Now, I'm not the ballistics expert you are, but the numbers you're talking about right there, just for comparison, that's more potent than the 30-06 that we've known as a beloved Michigan deer gun forever, right? Far more potent? Powerful?
Yeah, far more potent. Yeah, far more potent. Right in the big ones, it falls between the 300 Win Mag and the 338 Win Mag is where that particular bullet is falling right now.
I have hunted with a 300 Win Mag, and it kicked like a 300 Win Mag. You're saying that your 41 Great Lakes kicks like a 243.
It does. It's a very diffuse. Now, the rifle moves backwards as it's physics. The rifle does move backwards, but it's such a diffuse recoil impulse. The only thing I can compare it to is a 350 Legend or a 243, maybe the 6mm Remington. The heaviest recoil we've experienced, Fury, out of an 18-inch barrel Remington Model 6 pump chambered in 41 Great Lakes, traveling 2,500 feet a second, and that generated 9.3 foot-pounds of felt recoil, which is actually less than a 308.
John, I got to let you go. I'm fascinated by what you guys have done there at River Raisin Ballistics. I would encourage people to go to the Facebook page, 41 Great Lakes Shooter, to learn more. And keep an eye on Gabe Van Wormer's Full Quiver YouTube channel. He does a lot of stuff with you guys. But keep up the good work. And listen, if this ever goes commercial, where you've got a company that I can go to Jay's and get a 41 Great Lakes, I will certainly do that. I wish you nothing but luck. We'll take a break here in the Outdoor Magazine show. When we come back, Kaylee Rush from the DNR talking about waterfowl seasons, and then we'll wrap up the hour with Justin Tomei, the Ask Avery segment. What's going on with the DNR budget and license fee increases? Are they going to happen or not? You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Houghton Lake on the Twister, 92.1 WTWS. You can hear us in Lansing on WILS 1320 AM. And let's go north of the bridge. Let's go to Escanaba, the Riviera of the North. WCHT 600 AM, 93.5 FM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by, the Seaboing Harbor Marina. SeaboingHarborMarina.com. They offer discounted slip rentals specifically for the waterfowl season. Having a dedicated slip is a convenient way to avoid early morning boat launch traffic, especially on opening day. SeaboingHarborMarina.com, a great jumping off spot for summertime walleye fishing, perch fishing, and fall waterfowl hunting as well. Again, the website, SeaboingHarborMarina.com, SeaboingHarborMarina.com. That leads us into Our guest right now is Callie Rush from the Michigan DNR. She's a waterfowl specialist. She joins us on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. Callie, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, Mike?
I'm doing great. I understand that you are a new waterfowl specialist, new to the department.
Yes, I started on August 18th, so just under 2 months.
Well, congrats. Congrats on that. And where are you working out of, Callie?
Yeah, thank you. I am working out of Lansing, out of our customer
You are out of Lansing. Okay. So what a waterfowl specialist, what does that mean?
So a lot of my job is working with waterfowl regulations. So I'm doing, working with our Mississippi Flyway Council all the way up through our Fish and Wildlife Service, the other states in our flyway, and our citizen waterfowl advisory committees here in Michigan. Every year coming up with what we would like the next few seasons to look like. And then on top of that, I also serve as our technical expert for all of our wildlife or DNR staff if they have any waterfowl questions. And then I get to work a little bit on habitat projects as well.
And what do you do in your spare time? Because it sounds like you have none.
In my spare time, I love to be outside. I love to camp and hike. I love to deer hunt and duck hunt. So that's what I'm hoping to do with some of these open weekends here in October.
Excellent, excellent. Now, aren't the waterfowl regulations, aren't those all put together at the federal level because they're migratory birds?
So, yes, the federal level puts together a framework, and then the states can choose within that framework. So they set it's based on adaptive harvest management, and so we're looking at what are the habitat conditions in the past year, past several years, looking at populations. They set the framework as you could think of that as like the maximum amount of species that you could harvest, maximum amount of ducks, geese, how many days of the season, and then we work with our folks in the flyway. So here in Michigan, we're in the Mississippi Flyway. So that's all the states down to Mississippi and Alabama. And then internally within Michigan, so talking to our waterfowl hunters about, do we want to be a little stricter than that, or do we want to be as liberal as we can within that framework?
And how are waterfowl populations these days?
So as many people probably know, or they see outside as they're driving along, we are in a drought. Michigan is not unique in that. We're in a drought over in the prairies as well. So population numbers are a little bit down. However, that's really normal. It's normal for us to go to cycles of really wet years, if you remember back in 2019, 2020. And then we're just in that dry cycle right now. But overall, I've been keeping an eye on the weather and the birds that are coming through the state. And folks are very successful with this cold weather coming.
So
I expect that the hunting will be good.
So we're in a drought here, but a lot of our birds are flight birds that come down from Canada. Are they also suffering from a drought as well?
Yes.
Oh,
yes, they are.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So early in the season, we'll have more local birds, wood ducks and mallards that were born and raised here. And then as the cold weather moves, we'll be getting those birds coming down from Canada and moving through.
And last weekend was an opener for what, the northern zone, Lower Peninsula?
Yes, it's the middle zone, but the
middle
northern
zone.
Lower
Okay.
Peninsula.
And then, so when is the next opener? Is that this weekend now for the southern zone?
Nope, it is the weekend after.
Afterwards,
so October
okay.
18th is South Zone, and everyone will be open by then.
And regulations these days, forgive me for not knowing, but it used to be there was a point system where you had to identify birds on the wing. Are we still working under something like that, or has it changed these days?
It's not a point system. Overall, it is 6 ducks. And within that, there are a couple of restrictions. So you can only have 4 of those be mallards, and 2 of those can be hens. So there is some trying to identify on the wing. And then of those, they could be 3 wood ducks or 3 northern pintail. And then folks that are, hunting in more open water, seeing diving ducks, there's some limitations on how many of those you can have as well.
Well, it's not a sport for I don't think, looking at it from the outside, it's not a sport for a casual hunter. It's one that I think you need to have a mentor, somebody who's got a few years under their belt to kind of help you ease into it. Do you look at it the same way, Callie?
Absolutely, Mike. So actually, I did not grow up hunting, despite growing up near Lake Erie. And I learned all of this in college. I found some mentors, found people that were willing to take me out. You know, unlike some other hunting styles, waterfowl hunting is very social. And so finding that team that can teach you how to identify ducks, how to call, how to set your decoys is very important. And then the folks that get really into it, you know, you could have your boats and your dogs and your blinds and everything else.
Callie Rush, waterfowl specialist for the DNR. Welcome to the new job. Thank you for joining us on the show. Appreciate your time. We'll take a break here in the Outdoor Magazine. By the way, the website for the Michigan DNR, michigan.gov/DNR. The Ask Avery segment coming up after the break. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Houghton Lake on 98.5 WUPS. You can hear us in Holland on WHTC, 1450 AM, 99.7 FM, and you can hear us north of the bridge in Manistee on WTIQ, 1490 AM, 95.3 FM. The Ask Avery segment is brought to you each week by the good folks at Security Credit Union. Security Credit Union loves to work with outdoorsmen and women, and they can help you with your next outdoor adventure. Check them out online at securitycu.org. That's securitycu.org. The Ask Avery segment is your chance to get involved in the content of the show. The best way to get your questions to me is to send me an email, mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com, mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com. It can be a question you want me to answer directly, maybe a question you want me to pass along to MUCC or DNR, maybe I have a little easier access to those folks than you do. That's exactly what Scott Seidel did this week. He sent me an email to mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com, and I'm paraphrasing. He says, Mike, the state budget is set, but what about the DNR? No license fee increases? Because, there was talk about license fees going up. He says, I hear there are a couple of other options out there. He said, but the crux of it is, will we be paying more for our licenses or not? Well, when I get a question like this, I immediately think of MUCC, and I think of Justin Tomei, their policy guy. He is an expert when it comes to all things Lansing and how things work in the political system. And he has graciously agreed to join us on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. First of all, Justin, welcome back. How's your early bow season going?
I have not seen a deer with a bow in my hand yet.
Okay, but are you having fun?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I got 2 does during early doe season, so, we're good. My daughter shot her deer, so we got 3 on the board already. But
excellent.
Bow season's been hot.
It has, and it's cooling down, and I'm excited to get out now. But what about Scott's question here? He's got a multifaceted question, so why don't you just tell us what is going on with Lansing as far as the DNR budget and potential license fee increases?
Yeah, so obviously the Senate budget included a license fee increase, and the House budget included a whole bunch of cuts. And then when they got together and reconciled, they kind of met in the middle. Funding for the department is largely the same. There is no fee increase yet. But the important thing to note from that is that I said yet. They could still pass a standalone fee increase bill at a different time, and it just wouldn't have to be in the budget.
Is what you're talking about there the Cherry Senate proposal and the Ed Blissick proposal over in the House? Or are you talking something else, Justin?
Yep, no, those are really the only 2 game in town right now. The Senate Bill's 276 and 277, and then there's a whole package in the House. I think the first bill is 5093, and that is a package of bills that does fisheries licenses only. So those 2 bills, one's again a House proposal and Senate proposal. I imagine both chambers will move some version of theirs, and then they'll be forced to reconcile and try to come to an agreement on a bigger package. When that happens, probably not this year. My guess has always been later into 2026.
Has MUCC taken a stance on this? Do you guys agree that the department needs more money?
Yeah, the department absolutely needs more money. And 20-something other conservation groups agreed with us as well. So we have actually come out in support of the Senate proposals at this time. I will say for the millionth time, we're not married to those proposals. If somebody came up with something that funds the department as a comprehensive package, we are absolutely willing to listen to what that is. And I don't even want to say funds the department. I want to say funds natural resources management, funds our woods and water, fish and wildlife. That's the important part. And so if somebody came up with a plan to do that didn't include a fee increase, I'm all ears. But currently, the best comprehensive package is the Senate bills.
When I first talked to you the other day, I said, hey, the state budget didn't include a license fee increase. And you said, well, Mike, really, even though that was common talk in the world of hunting and angling, there really wasn't a process put in place for that. It did not surprise you that the state budget overall did not include a license fee increase because it really didn't make sense to do it that way. Is that correct?
Yeah, the House has been working on that fishing bill, the 5093, for 6 months plus. I mean, we've been talking about it, and we finally got it out. So there was nothing that was going to move until that package was finished, complete. Now that it's out there, we know kind of where the House wants to be, where the Senate wants to be, and figured out in the middle. So the timing of it just didn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
There's still a door open to get it done, but again, it will be next year probably.
All right, Justin, I always appreciate your input and your insight. You are a guy who has your finger on the pulse of things going on in Lansing. I do certainly appreciate it. I appreciate everything, all that you folks at MUCC are doing. MUCC.org, MUCC.org. Thanks, Justin. Appreciate your time. We'll let you get on with your day. I would strongly encourage you, my friends, as listeners, to take a look at MUCC. Join MUCC, MUCC.org. There is strength in numbers. The more people we have who join MUCC, the more clout they have in Lansing and the more weight we carry as hunters, anglers, shooters, and trappers. And I think that's a good thing. I also think it's a good thing that Security Credit Union makes each week's Ask Avery segment possible. Check them out online at securitycu.org, securitycu.org. And if you have a question for me, do what Scott Seidel did. Send me an email to Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com. That's Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com. And maybe we can use it for the Ask Avery segment. We'll take a break here for the top of the hour. When we come back in our third and final hour, my good friend Don Barnard talks about a recent moose hunt he was on, also fall musky fishing and more. And we wrap it all up with wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Minar.
Time now for Michigan's #1 outdoor radio show, Mike Avery's Outdoor Magazine. Mike Avery has covered the outdoors in Michigan for more than 4 decades, and that tradition continues today. Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Jay's Sporting Goods, the Yater Insurance Group, Angler Quest Pontoons, The Forward Corporation, Security Credit Union, Offshore Tackle, Hammond Drives and Equipment, Garber Chevrolet, the West Branch Visitors Bureau, Rapid River Knife Works, and by Michigan Brand Meats. Now, here's Mike Avery.
Indeed, this is Mike Avery. Welcome to hour number 3 of this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show here on the Outdoor Magazine Radio Network on more than 30 radio stations across our great state of Michigan. So glad to have you along with us as we work our way through this month of Rocktober. Avery, why do you call it Rocktober? Well, can you think of any other month of the year that has so many things going on that are so exciting for those of us who love the outdoors? Yeah, springtime is great. Summertime is great. Wintertime, not so much. I can't help it. The older I get, the less I like winter. Now, I know that there are many of you who absolutely love winter. You look forward to it. But I got to be honest, I don't anymore. But I do look forward to fall and the month of Rocktober. It is so nice now that the weather has finally broken. Those summer-like temps that were driving me crazy, I hope they're behind us now. The nights are nice and cool. The days are cooler. We got some much needed rain last week. I wouldn't be too upset if we got a little bit more. But man, what a great time of year, isn't it? And I don't care whether it's hunting or fishing or whatever it is that you're involved in, there's something for you in the month of October. Whether it is, I don't know, something here in our great state of Michigan or beyond. You know, I concentrate on Michigan. I am a Michigan guy. I'm a Michigan fanboy. I don't deny that. I am a huge fan of our state. Now, back when I had the TV show, I was blessed to be able to travel to a lot of different areas and do a lot of really cool things. But I was always really glad to get back to Michigan. I think our state has the perfect mix of outdoor opportunities. Is it the perfect state? No. You know, do we have the mountains that they have out west? Well, we've got some hills in the UP. Are they full-blown mountains? You could argue that. Do we have the saltwater fishing they have down in Florida and the Keys? No, but man, we have some great fishing, don't we? It is just a really, and I think I come at this from the perspective of, would I be able to do what I am doing, what I've done, to make a living in the outdoors, talking about covering the outdoors in any other state other than Michigan? Yeah, maybe Texas, maybe Wisconsin, maybe Minnesota. Maybe Pennsylvania, but certainly right here in Michigan. So I'm biased. I admit that. And I've had a chance to meet some really cool people over the years, including our guest this hour. His name is Don Barnard. Don and I have so much in common. We have so much, just the way we look at life, the things we believe in, our faith. His background working for the DNR, the Fisheries Division. He's just a hardcore hunter and a hardcore angler and an all-around good guy. And I think he likes Rocktober as well. Don, welcome back to the Outdoor Magazine Show. How have you been doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good, Mike.
And listen, you've had some milestones in your life lately. There's been a lot going on for you.
A whole lot going on. I had to ask our financial advisor, can I afford a wedding and a moose hunt in the same year?
And the advisor said?
He said, go for it.
So congrats on the wedding. That is, hey, listen, I've gone through this before. To watch your daughter, it's a very emotional, it's an emotional thing to go through, isn't it?
It sure is. And we're very blessed. Not only did she marry a Christian young man, she married our pastor. So
I did not know that.
Yeah.
So good for you, Don.
Yeah.
So you found time to do a little moose hunting too. Where'd you go?
Alberta. We went to northern Alberta.
Oh, I love Alberta. It is one of the most beautiful places I've ever been to. Tell me more.
Well, it was beautiful country. I mean, there was grouse along every trail. Both rough grouse and spruce grouse, whitetails everywhere, and they worked really, really hard for us. The downside is I didn't get a moose. The upside is the 81-year-old man I took from our church, who's hard of hearing, whose eyesight is deteriorating, got a moose. So I was able to return to Michigan with a moose. And that'll probably be his last hunt, but he was able to kill a moose. So it was a good trip.
We used to go to Alberta on bear hunts and whitetail hunts, but while we were up there, some of the guys we were with were doing moose hunts. I mean, my goodness, there's bear up there, there's giant whitetails up there, there's moose up there, there's wild horses roaming around, there's bears up there. I mean, what a beautiful place that is.
It's Alberta. It's not Alaska, but it almost has it all in terms of big game. It has mule deer, whitetails, bighorn sheep, elk, moose, and all kinds of small game. And all my guides were just telling me about how much they enjoyed Alberta. And also, Alberta likes United States more than they like Quebec. So it was good. We were in good company.
Well, having hunted in Alberta and Quebec, I know exactly what you're saying. So that does bring a smile to my face. Now, I'm assuming though, since your fellow hunter was up there in years, it was not it was not a spot and stalk as much of a stand still and call them in, or what was the hunt like?
It was mostly stand still and call, and sometimes, like in my case, they could hear the bulls, and the bulls wouldn't commit. And then in his case, he was able to get a nice bull, and that came out in the open. And with the guide's help, the moose is over here, Bill. He was able to harvest the bull.
Oh, nice, so. Nice. Now, normally, in fact, I was surprised when I reached out to you because oftentimes this time of year, when I reach out to you, you're out west bird hunting. That's
correct. Yeah. Bill and I had been talking about moose hunting for several years, and then we found there's a police officer in Edmonton, Alberta. He wants to go into outfitting full time, and I contacted him, and we made all the arrangements. And so moose hunting got the priority over North Dakota pheasant hunting this year. So then that's okay. So we able to get out, get a moose. The pheasants will have to wait.
Well, but they'll be there waiting for you next year.
Right, and all reports are pheasants are doing good in North Dakota. So they've had a couple of mild winters, and populations are up, and everything I read is North Dakota is doing good on the pheasants. So it's something to look forward to. But like I say, this year, take Bill on a moose hunt and come home, then walk my daughter down the aisle to get married.
Wonderful. So, congrats on that. Let me ask you this. I sometimes get grief from this. Like I am a Michigan guy. I promote Michigan, but occasionally I go out of state. I'll do things out of state, and people say, do you feel like you're cheating on your home state of Michigan? And I really don't. I just look at it as another outdoor opportunity. But, as a hardcore Michigan guy yourself, how do you feel about going out of state?
Well, I love visiting, especially out west. It's like I know only one way to leave Michigan, and that's US 2 in the UP.
You go right by the Rapid River shop when you do that.
I do, and I've already hit them once to sharpen my knives. And sometimes I time my trip so they're open when I go by. But I love going out west. I could go out there to be a tourist, or I can go out there to be a hunter. It's just beautiful. I can appreciate God's creation in Michigan, where I love to fish and hunt, or I can appreciate creation out in the Dakotas, Montana, and Alberta. So,
and I obviously understand and appreciate everything you're saying. I will say, of all the places I've ever been, some of the most desolate country I've ever seen was in North Dakota. I mean, you can drive for miles and not see a ranch, not see a farm. I've never seen open spaces like that. It's a pretty impressive state.
Well, if you look carefully, the potholes are all filled with ducks, and you can watch and there's usually coyotes along the highway or a pheasant or two. We saw mule deer in North Dakota. You have to be aware of their whitetail population. If you get to the western end, you got to look for antelope. I like North Dakota for a lot of reasons, and just traveling through, there's enough to watch for because I love to. If you have never seen it, the fall flights of snow geese is something to be seen because you won't believe it. When there's tens of thousands of snow geese flying south for the winter. It's very, very impressive. So I appreciate all of that. But do I appreciate when I come back, bypass these in the UP and come back to Saginaw Bay or down here? Yes, I do.
Hang tight, Don. We got to take a break. We're talking with Don Barnard here on the Outdoor Magazine Show. When we come back, we'll get to the topic at hand, which is fall musky fishing. Now, you might think I'm talking about Lake St. Clair. Well, yes, and more. But we'll find out about that with Don Barnard. And then, of course, we'll wrap it all up with wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Minar. That's all coming up here in Hour 3 of this week's Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Manistee on WMLQ 97.7 FM. You can hear us in Sandusky in the Thumb, WMIC 660 AM, 95.3 FM. And you can hear us in Traverse City on WTCM 580 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Reader Landscaping. Reader can take care of your lawn and property because it's your nature and our nurture. Now, the folks at Reader have come up with an Avery promo code, and it's Avery5, and this is for prepay only, for some work around your place in the fall. It's for sprinkler blowout, it's for fall dormant pruning, and it's for core aeration of your yard. If you get a hold of them and use the promo code and say, hey, yeah, actually, if you just say, I want to take advantage of the Avery promo code or the Avery code, I bet you're good to go. But technically, it is Avery5, and that gets you 5% off prepay for those services in the fall. Reader's been doing this for 60 years. They know what they're doing. They do things right. I work with them extensively. They do a lot of work around my house. They always do a great job, and I think they are a great company. The website, readerlandscaping.com. That's readerlandscaping.com. Right now, though, talking with a friend of mine, Don Barnard. I first met Don when he was working as a fisheries technician in the DNR. Don, I got to believe that, since you are such a hardcore angler, spending those years working in fishing and around fisheries was a pretty cool career.
It was a cool career. There were times on the Cisco chain in western UP where we had to be out there after ice out while we were tagging walleyes, that my face shield got covered in ice. So those times were difficult. But yes, it was a pretty cool career. My favorite part was lifting nets to see what we had caught. And I enjoyed, of course, the interaction with the sportsmen of the state. And they knew that I was there trying to work with them, trying to improve our fishery. So, yeah, it was a pretty cool career, and I was very blessed.
Let me ask you this, though. Talking about interaction with sportsmen and women. And I don't think the Fisheries Division deals with this as much as wildlife, but there is a perception, not a perception. There are a lot of people around the state right now who absolutely hate the DNR, and I'm not sure if they even know why they hate the DNR. Did you see that when you were working in the department, and what are your thoughts on that?
So I did see it. Occasionally, it was the exception rather than the rule. Most of the time in fisheries, we're the fisherman's friend.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a confrontational thing. And sure, we had people saying, I had one individual, and this one surprised me, complaining about stocking walleyes in a particular lake, and which most people, everybody wants walleyes. Everybody loves walleyes. Everybody wants walleyes stocked. And that one took me by surprise. But he was the exception. And most people, if you sat and said, well, we're doing this and this and this, and this is why we're doing it, for the most part, we got along fine. We still have Creel clerks, especially along the Great Lakes, interviewing fishermen, interacting with them on a day-to-day basis. So communication's the key.
You worked with a lot of different species over the years, but yet I know that you absolutely love musky fishing. What is it about muskies that gets you so cranked up?
Well, there's a variety of things. The fact that, so most fish are very good at natural reproduction. Muskies skip that day. And they're not very good at it. So they're rare to begin with. And of course, the large size and their characteristics. And, they're just, to me, they're a beautiful fish, and their characteristics of following the lure back to the boat and everything about them, they put all their energy into the strike. And as opposed to a salmon, which is swimming all day long, a muskie's sitting off in the shallows just biding his time, either digesting a previous meal or just warming up. So, but when they attack, they go for it. And that's what they're very, very exciting. So I love everything about it.
These days, when you talk about muskie fishing in Michigan, a lot of the conversation is focused on Lake St. Clair, as it should be. I think it's a muskie factory. It's like the muskie capital of Michigan. But there's a lot of good muskie fishing outside of Lake St. Clair. That's really kind of what you focus on, isn't it?
Well, primarily, only because Lake St. Clair is kind of it's a couple-hour drive for me. I will plan on going down there, and I'll plan on, but we have lakes, especially in northern lower Michigan. We have sun lakes in southern Michigan you can have a great time. There's a lake over in the southwest corner of the state called Thornapple. I personally haven't fished it, but one of our state records came from there. And it's kind of a wide area in the Thornapple River, and the muskies there get big. So I'm hoping to fish that someday. We have the beautiful lakes up near Traverse City, Skagamog, Torch Lakes, and all that. And, of course, Burt, Black, and Mullet all have muskies in them. So we're very blessed. You get to the western UP, you're really going to town then. And we've got a lot of good musky lakes over there. If you go to Newberry, we've got the Squamish River. So we're very blessed in terms of muskies. We're not quite to the level like Wisconsin has over 100 lakes that they manage for muskies. We're not to that level yet. But if somebody wants to go muskie fishing in Michigan, they can do it.
Thornapple, isn't that considered a brood lake?
Well, that's it used to be what we call a broodstock lake. Things changed quite a bit when we went from a strain of muskie that we call the northern muskie. The DNR decided to then switch to Great Lakes muskies. Harvesting the eggs for the Great Lakes muskies, because it's in the Detroit River, puts everything back. We can't do it until mid to late May just because of water temperatures. You have to have at least 55 degrees. If it goes to 54 degrees, back to 54, they stop. So we want some inland lakes where we can go in, harvest. So we're working on Thornapple. We're working on Hudson Lake again. I think we're stocking yearling muskies, so there'll be much better survival. And hopefully we can go back to going to our musky lakes inland for broodstock lakes, which will help them considerably.
How do you target fall muskies? And let me back up. I know you love to fish in the fall, but why is fall fishing for muskie? Why is it so productive, or can be so productive?
Well, I'm not 100% why muskies. I know it's water temperature related. So after 55 degrees or lower, things really start happening. Now, are they prepping for the next year's spawn? Are they just hungry? Are they just more active? Or because you're on this beautiful lake in northern Michigan, you have the lake to yourself, you're not dodging jet skis, and today I really feel like fishing, and you put more effort into it. Probably all of those things. So you're out there, you have a beautiful lake, beautiful day, the weather temperature is perfect, and you're casting hard for muskies. It all seems to come together. So,
I noticed you said casting and not trolling, because trolling is the primary Lake St. Clair tactic. Do you prefer casting, Don?
I prefer casting only because there's a little bit more interaction between the fish. Trolling is an excellent way to catch muskies. And, for example, on Lake St. Clair, 800 square miles, there's a lot of water there. There's our places you cast, but I'm never going to poo-poo trolling. I personally prefer to cast. It's physically demanding because of the size of the lures I'm using, but having a muskie follow a lure into the boat, sometimes they strike it, sometimes they don't. I've read a commentary, people who have archery bull elk, until they saw a muskie coming in behind the lure, that's what they know excitement is.
And that's what drives me crazier. That's what I find so interesting, is that you hardcore muskie guys, you consider a follow a good day. You don't even have to hook into the fish. If you see a fish follow your bait, it's like, that's a cool thing.
Well, last year, I had 18 follows from muskies. Now, fortunately, my health insurance has been able to cover my therapy. But there's just something about that follow, and you locate a fish. So it's often possible, let's say you can't get the muskie to strike. You can maybe come back 15 minutes later, target that fish again, maybe hit him with a different lure, But the whole thing is kind of a wrestling match and a psychological game. But they keep you in the game. Sometimes they win, and sometimes you win, and you get to take their picture.
Take their picture. Okay.
Yep.
Musky people are famous for not harvesting fish. Why is that?
Well, I'll go back to personally what I know. Biology, they're just horrible at natural reproduction. It's their timing, everything. They reproduce after northern pike. So when the little muskies come out of the marsh, the little bit bigger northern pike are waiting for them. So muskies have a lot of hindrances to being. There are exceptions, Lake St. Clair, etc., where those two fish can coexist. But you're fishing at a fish that, by nature, the way the good Lord made them, they're not overly abundant to begin with, even in ideal situations. So we had a broodstock lake that had 2 fish per acre, and that's considered very, very high for a muskie population.
2 muskies per acre is considered high? Outside of Lake St. Clair.
That was considered high.
Yeah, outside of Lake St. Clair.
Lake St. Clair.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So, yes, 2 fish per acre. That had an overabundant muskie population at 2 fish per acre. So, yes, the nature of the fish, they're naturally just rare, okay? And maybe that's part of the myth or the excitement or the thing that draws me to muskie fishing. Plus, like I say, the goal is take a picture of a beautiful muskie.
Well,
and no, we don't kill them.
I tell you this every fall, but I look forward to the picture that you're going to send me of you holding that giant muskie with the beautiful fall colors behind you. Or maybe the leaves have dropped by then, but a picture of you holding a big, beautiful fall muskie with a big smile on your face. I look forward to that picture, Don. You got to send it to me.
I will, and I'm going to fish a lake this fall that has that potential.
Excellent.
So I'm looking forward to it.
All right, my friend. I always enjoy our conversations. You are the consummate outdoorsman and just an all-around good guy. Have a great fall season, and you and I will stay in touch.
Thanks, Mike. Have a good day.
You as well. Don Barnard talking about muskie fishing and more here on Outdoor Magazine. We'll take a break. A few more things to talk about, then we'll wrap it all up with wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Minar. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show all across our great state of Michigan, including Tawas, WIOS, 1480 AM, 106.9 FM. And you can also hear us staying on the east side of the state in Saginaw, WSGW, 790 AM, 100.5 FM. I'm in the studios of WSGW right now. Of course, for these 3 hours, I call it the Outdoor Magazine studio. Nobody argues. Well, Jonathan Dent argues a little bit, but he realizes now, all right, Avery, for 3 hours, you can call us that. I'm here now. I started out the show with Jonathan Dent. Now Charlie Root has stepped in, which makes it really, really confusing, really hard for the people who are trying to figure out if they are showing up in the parking lot to cheer for Jonathan or to cheer for Charlie. You guys have got to get this scheduling straight, Charlie, because it's driving people crazy. But either way, I do really appreciate working with John and Charlie. Both of these guys are great guys. They are very dedicated. You know, they've got their own thing going on at SGW with a lot of different responsibilities. Yet I walk in here for 3 hours a week, and they treat me well. They treat my show with respect, and they take it very seriously. And Charlie and Jonathan, I do honestly, certainly appreciate that. This segment of Outdoor Magazine brought to you by Hammond Drives and Equipment. Are you a farmer, contractor, landscaper, maintenance supervisor, anybody who needs hydraulic hoses, fittings, and electrical motors? Well, Hammond Drives and Equipment can help you out. They've been doing this for more than 30 years. They know what you need to keep your business in business. They're in Freeland, but they do business across the state. Stop by their showroom on N47, just north of town. Go to the website, hammondeqp.com, or give them a call, 989-695-2239, 695-2239 to see what I mean. Aren't you enjoying these cooler temps? I certainly am. Now it's feeling like fall. I just was having a hard time thinking about deer hunting, when it was in the low 80s. I thought, what if I do shoot a big doe? I mean, you're going to have to take care of it so fast. So I decided I'm just going to golf. Now the temperatures have dropped. My golf clubs might be put away for the year. Maybe one more round, but I'm thinking now about hunting. I was out to the lease property a couple times the last week, not hunting, although by the time you hear this show, I'm hoping to have 1 or 2 sits in the tree stand or in a ground blind. I was out there with my grandson, Trent. We put up an old man base camp blind, which is a blind up on a 7-foot metal pedestal with a fabric blind above it. We got that set up on the edge of a food plot overlooking a drop-off that goes into state land. I'm pretty excited about that setup. And then 2 days later, went out there with my son James, and we put up a couple of old man ladder stands. Again, both of them on food plots, but in, kind of take advantage of some different wind directions. So I'm set now, depending on what direction the wind comes from, which makes, okay, I was out there with Trent, my grandson, James, my son. I guess there comes a certain point in life when you welcome help from other people. When I was younger, it's like, no, I can do it. I got it. These days, if these younger guys want to help out the old guy, I'm all for it. And I have a family that is very generous with their time and helping out the old guy. So thank you, guys. I do appreciate that. Ladder stands, if I'm going to hunt off the ground these days, it is going to be in a ladder stand. More often than not, you'll find me on the ground in a ground blind. By the way, I like this new a carnivore ground blind from Old Man. I like their Big Daddy tree stand. You can get those at Jay's, and if you use the promo code Avery30, you can get $30 off. So how cool is that? I've got a bunch of promo codes out there these days. I appreciate it when my advertising partners want to put Avery promo codes out there. Michigan Brand has a Mike 20 for 20% off. You get that on their website, michiganbrand.net. Rapid River, of course, the Mike Avery 15 in the showroom or at rapidriverknifeworks.com. Everything except for the Mike Avery signature knife. And I was thinking, you know what? We're getting to mid-October. Because those knives are handmade, it takes a while for the process. If you're thinking about giving an Avery signature knife to benefit Outdoor Driven, to get first responders and vets in the outdoors on adventures, this is probably the time right now to order that knife. You cannot use the Avery 15 promo code for that, though. I told you about the Old Man and Jay's, Avery 30, $30 off. Lumberjack Restaurant and the Lumberjack Lodge in West Branch, both offering Avery promo codes. Now the restaurant, Avery 10, the hotel, Avery 15. And finally, Reader Landscaping has come up with a promo code of Avery 5 for a prepay for their sprinkler blowout, fall dormant pruning, and core aeration of your lawn. So I appreciate when my partners come up with things like that. What else? The DNR budget. Well, it did not include a license fee yet, but we kept talking about license fee increases. The powers that be in Lansing really, said it's not going to become as part of the state budget. However, a couple of things in the works right now, including House Bill 5093, which is a fisheries-only bill. And then there is a bill in the Senate as well talking about overall funding for the DNR. Look for more news on those. Hopefully, I personally would like to see those two forces combined into some kind of a melded package, and I suspect they will. What else? Oh, my website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. My email address, Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. Keep an eye on social media, as well as that video that went viral last week of that giant bull elk wading in the river and bugling at those anglers. Troy Harrison, how cool was that? No, it was not a moose. No, they didn't want to kill it. And no, it wasn't in the UP. I can't believe. Thank you so much for joining me this week here on the Outdoor Magazine radio show. The radio show, is kind of the base of everything. That's what this whole Outdoor Magazine franchise, indeed even the Mike Avery Outdoors concept, revolves around, is this radio show. So thank you for checking it out. I do appreciate it. Also, though, I'm quite active on social media. I encourage you to follow me there. I do some live streams as well and some podcasting and stuff. But the fact that you're hearing my voice right now means a lot to me. It also means a lot to me to have the friendship of a lot of people that you hear on this show. And, of course, I'm a good friend of Wild Game Chef Extraordinaire Dixie Dave Minar. Great guy. I've worked with him forever. I love to wrap up each week's show with David, and we do that once again. Welcome back, Dave. How you doing, buddy?
Real good. Enjoying the beautiful days that we've had lately.
Oh, the change in weather. Isn't that nice?
Yep.
Ugh.
I like it a little bit cooler than the 80 degrees.
So do I. And it makes me think, all right, it makes me want to get out and do some bow hunting. My wife, Denise, has given me the edict, the mandate. The first big doe that walks in front of me needs to get shot. Do we have a venison recipe this week, or we got something else, Dave?
Yep. No, we do. On page 127, it's medallions of venison.
Oh, perfect.
So this is for 4 portions. You need about 1.5 to 2 pounds of venison loin or leg meat trimmed. You want them more tender for this. Half a cup of heavy cream, heaping teaspoon of garlic, minced fine, 12-ounce package of mushrooms sliced thin, 1 jar of beef gravy, a third a cup of onions of diced fine, a tablespoon of butter, flour to dredge, a little bit of olive oil to saute with, and parsley, which is optional. It's just for garnishment. So what you want to do is trim all the silver and the sinew from the meat, and you want to try to cut the pieces of meat that you're going to be doing about 7 to 8 ounces, and you want to be able to pound this across the grain. So you want the grain up and down if possible. But sometimes I know it wouldn't be, but it's just a little bit better of a product at the end. And so you want to pound the medallions down between 2 pieces of saran wrap or plastic wrap until pretty thin. It's going to break up the fibers and make it so that it stretches out the meat, and it makes it look more steak-like as opposed to just little pieces of meat. You want to dredge the meat in flour, and then in a nice hot pan with a little bit of olive oil, brown the meat on both sides. Remove the pan and saute. Put that on the side, and then saute the mushrooms, the onions, and the garlic, and then flambe with some brandy or bourbon if you have, whatever you have, or nothing. It's up to you, whatever kind of flavor you want to impart. And so you can add the gravy and simmer for about 5 minutes, and then slowly stir it occasionally. And then you want to add the butter and the cream and simmer for another minute or 2. Doesn't take much, you just want to incorporate that, and that kind of velvetizes the sauce, gives it a real nice flavor and a real nice sheen to it. Place the meat back in the sauce, cook until the desired temperature, which should be quite rare because you took it out of the pan, quite rare. You just want to barely warm it up. You don't want to overcook your venison. You want to make sure that it's as rare as you can possibly eat it for the most flavor and the best quality of meat. And then you can garnish with a little chopped parsley. Just brings up a little bit of green, brings out the beauty of the dish. So enjoy.
It sounds wonderful. And again, we've talked about this before, but the importance of eating venison on the more rare side. What are your thoughts on that, Dave?
Oh, my thoughts are perfect. You want to make sure that it's as rare as you can eat it for the most flavor and the tenderness. And the more you cook it, it's going to get kind of liver-like, which turns a lot of people off. But I like my liver medium rare anyway, so.
Unlike like bear that we have to worry about, cooking it more well done to be safe. That's not a concern with venison, is it?
No. Venison should be eaten rare, unless you're going to make a stew or something in a sauce where you're going to bake it for an hour or two. Like your steaks and your medallions should be eaten quite rare.
And how are things at the King's Dish? I know we can find you cooking there every weekend. Is that gig still going well for you?
Yeah. We're quite busy. They're giving me pretty much reign to make whatever I want. This week we got alligator and a salmon dish with shrimp and scallops. Well,
I tell you what, when you've got Chef Dixie Dave Minar cooking for you, yeah, just get out of the way and let the guy cook what he wants. That's for sure. All right, David,
That's
always
exactly
a pleasure. We'll talk to you next weekend, buddy.
All right, thank you. Have a nice weekend, and everybody be safe and sane.
Safe and sane. Words of wisdom from wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Minar, a big part of the Outdoor Magazine show, as are you. If you weren't listening, there'd be no reason to do this show, and I honestly don't know what I would do. I'm not ready to retire. I'd like to be around for a while. I'd like to be doing this show for a while. And God willing, and with your support, I will be. My name is Mike Avery. This is called Outdoor Magazine Radio. My website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. My email address, Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. Love to hear from you. Reach out, Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com.